Okay. Let me start sharing my screen again. Share. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday, everyone. And thank you for joining this session today. So today we are going to have a storytelling session. I want it to be very engaging. And we're going to have the conversation about building connections and visibility. And I'm going to be the one to take today's session. So, I mean, while we're having these conversations about visibility and connections, is that in everything we do is people-centered. And we need to be able to learn how to build connections, leverage on our connections, as well as ensure that we're visible enough for people to see us. So if you've seen down through our sessions from the first week of the mentorship, we've been very, very intentional in trying to imbibe skill set and, most importantly, soft skills that would empower women. We're going to have sessions where we'll talk about the technical skills, where we're teach you how to do this. But for now, we want to focus on certain soft skills that you need. And today I'm going to pour out my heart to you. I'm going to share from my own experience. And I want you to be able to ask me questions. I want us to be able to make it a very, very engaging conversation. So I'll just break down what our agenda would be. So I would like to start by storytelling, because sometimes it's the stories that we listen to that would inspire us when we remember those stories. And it's good to, share and have the conversations about stories, because then it shows us a picture that other people have done it and we can do it too. And I'm sure that we all individually have some stories of how we have connected with people, of how visible our visibility affected us and how it has built opportunities for us. So we'll do a little storytelling, try and see some Nigerian examples. And then after that, we'll talk about strategies that we can use to build our connections and our networks. How can we ensure that we build connections, strong ones, we're able to leverage on it, and we're also able to build our visibility? Because the honest truth is, if you do not blow your trumpet, nobody's going to blow it for you. And the little steps that we take would go a long way. We'll also talk about certain tools that we can use to also build our visibility. And then we would have a SWOT analysis exercise. So yesterday, one of the Sharon Takim had pointed out that it would be good for us to have SWOT analysis. And I just decided to add that as part of the conversation today. So we will just try some exercise on SWOT analysis. I will try to do I want it to be very, very practical. So let's start with the storytelling. And I want to start with the story of Paystack, and I want to talk about how building connections can open doors for you and bring opportunities. So this is a story I'm sure that most of us are familiar with, the story of Paystack, and we know how Paystack has thrived into a big fintech and has even, got investment by and large in Africa and beyond. So how did the Paystack story start? Paystack was founded in 2015 by Shola and Ezra. But Ezra and Shola had met in university. They had met, it's how you should see the connection. They had met in university. And they had worked in banking and ICT, different fields, before they joined into Paystack. But one thing you should see most importantly, and that's why I even pointed out during our conversation, and I stated during, I think, the first session with us, and I said, it will be good for you to connect with the women who are in this mentorship and build networks with them, because you never know where they are going to be. You never know what partnership, you never know what information one of your mentees would give you, and that will propel you into your next step, into your next journey, right? So the story of Paystack is just a story of how when two people meet, how they connected, and how they're able to build a huge business. So this story of Paystack should inspire you that never look down on anyone who is beside you. Because if Shola had ignored Ezra, or Ezra had ignored Shola and not had that relationship with in university, or if Shola had robbed Ezra in a way that was rude to him or spoken down at him, Shola would not want to work with Ezra, because he say, oh, I remember this boy in university and he was very, very rude to me. And it also boils down to treating everybody nice, respecting everybody, because you never know what the connection or the door somebody can open for you. Somebody can mention your name in a room, and that would spark you to go to your next journey. And how would how would somebody speak about you in a room? It boils down to connection, building networks, and it also boils down to your visibility, right? Because if you're doing something in a space and you're doing it well, someone will remember. There'll be a time where they will say, oh, please, I'm looking for somebody in this space, and do you know anybody? And they'll say, please, can you refer somebody to me? And because you've been so visible in a particular space and you've built a good relationship with this person, it doesn't mean that you're talking every day. It doesn't mean that you're speaking every day, but just that connection that you have nurtured with someone can take you very far. Another story I would like to tell is the WiLG story and how WiLG started. So WiLG was founded by myself and Blessing Yahaya. Blessing Yahaya and I met in university. So we did 5 years of law in the University of Abuja, but we were just hello, hi people. So I'll see Blessing and I'll say hi to her. She'll see me, she'll say hi to me. I knew her name. She was a senior advocate in the law SAN at the time at university. So I used to see her, admired the work that she did as a SAN at that time. And I just used to greet her. But we never had a friendship. We just had a cordial, we were just acquaintances and we were just classmates. Fast forward 5 years later, we meet in law school in Bayelsa and we became friends. So if we had, okay, yeah, I went to University of Abuja. Yes, Tony, thank you. So if I had treated Blessing in a way that maybe she'll greet me and I'll snub her, I robbed her in a certain way, I was very rude to her, I was rude to people. If I met her in law school, Blessing would not want to associate with me. She wouldn't even want to look at me because she knows, oh, this girl's a very rude girl. I don't want to talk to her. But because we had been cordial in university, we had been hello, hi, it was easier for us to connect when we went to law school. And the story ever since then has been exceptional. My first job that I got working at a technology law firm, it was Blessing that referred me. And we decided to start WiLG in 2019 because we wanted an avenue where we could inspire people, connect, and ensure that we create impact, especially in the areas of human rights. We did our NYC together. So we were both, at legal aid, but we were also wondering, what difference can we make in our community? So we used to do a lot of volunteering. I think we volunteered for money, we volunteered for various organizations. And we decided to start our own impact. But we have not done this journey alone. I have my friend here, Ramla, who has supported me since I met her in Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship. She would jump at everything that we're doing at WiLG. A lot of the mentors who have spoken to you, I have met them through my journey. If I had not built that relationship or maintained the connections with them, I'll be looking for who to bring in as mentors. But I had a good relationship with each and every one that would come here and who has already come here to speak to us. And in the coming weeks would come here to speak to us, because I was able to not only build connection, I was able to maintain it. I also did not exploit the connections, because certain times when people open their doors to us, there's a tendency to exploit these connections. But that's why we're having the conversation today. So we can learn how to build connections and we can learn how to build our visibility. I mean, something, when I was preparing this presentation, something that came to my mind is in maths, I mean, that time, I mean, I read law. So, but but maths was still needed for you to be able to get into the university. But in maths, right? Sometimes they ask you, show your working, because sometimes you would get marks for your working. So you can have the formula, you can start solving the problem. At times you may not arrive at the right answers, but you have shown your working, right? And those workings can give you marks. So those times I know that they used to do maths was very, they would do 3 marks here, 1 mark, half mark, 1/2, 1/2. And all those marks, they are marking your working. So just like how showing your working in mathematics is important and is crucial, in the space that we live in today, in the generation that we are today, we live in a connected world. Showing people what you're doing, who you are, and putting yourself out there is a critical component in our society. The honest truth is not, and I've learned that by myself, that it's not whether you are good at a job. I mean, that also is an added advantage. But are you showing up? Are you showing yourself online? Are you visible for people to be able to see you? For people to be able to see the work that you're doing, for people to be able to see something that you're working on, something you're connected, something you're passionate about. If somebody, let me look. If somebody says Bolo Atife, what do they know her for? Right? Once you see Bolu, what first comes to your mind? Because if somebody asks, if Bolu is a woman's rights activist and champion, if she focuses on women policy, the day that I'm thinking about having an engagement for women to speak on advocacy, the first person that will come to my mind is Bolu, because I know that that's the work that Bolu does. So if you keep showing people what you're doing, you stay on their mind. They know that that's your space. If somebody sees you, what would they remember? So that's the visibility. And how can you build your visibility? Because I mean, whether you like it or not, we live in some people say, oh no, I don't use social media. I understand that and I respect that. For me, I'll tell you, if you don't use social media, at least use LinkedIn, because professionally, LinkedIn has become your CV. So people get employed on LinkedIn just by what they're posting. So they're posting, they're having conversation. Someone just slides into the DM. Please, I love what you do. I would like to work with you. That's how people get jobs these days. If you see some application portals or even some opportunity portals, when you're applying, they'll say, put your LinkedIn profile here, the link to your profile. Because they want to see what you're doing. They want to see that you're engaging with people. They want to see whether what you wrote about yourself in the application reflects in what you do. So if you say, oh, you're a woman's advocate, you're this, you focus on education, they want to look through your profile and be able to see the visibility, the conversations you're having, the engagements that you're having, and if it's able to reflect that. And I mean, I'll share a story with you. I don't know if anybody can remember this young boy who got a mentorship with Tony Mellon. Does anybody remember that story?
Yes, is it not Emmanuel Nduka?
Yes. Emmanuel shot his shot, as they would call it, with Tony Mello. And that has opened doors for him. What did he do? He showed himself. He put himself out there. Like we said, the worst that would happen is you get a no, right? the worst that would happen is that you will get a no and somebody will tell you, oh no, not at this time. But trust me, if you shoot your shot at somebody and they tell you, oh sorry, I'm not available at this time to give you the full attention that you need. If you continue your work and your visibility, that person will reach out to you, because there'll be a time where that person is in that space and somebody will say, oh, I need somebody to do this. And the first thing he will remember is somebody walked into my DM and said this. He would message you. Or he will see you on your on his timeline. You're doing your work, you're posting what you're doing, and that person would reach out to you. So this is a story of an example of a young boy. He was just a student at Futa, and he shot his shot. And the opportunities that opened for him, it opened for him speaking engagements. He started speaking. He started going for conversation. I think I saw him one time. He went to a LinkedIn Connect. I can't remember if it's in Enugu or one of the states there. They invited him. He was able to meet Mr. Tony. He was able to have that conversation. And it opened so much. I saw that he did some sponsorship. He was sponsored by some people. He joined several engagements. But all that wouldn't have happened if he wasn't visible, if he didn't shoot his shot. So sometimes, this is something that we have been saying throughout this conversation, is about boldness. Trust me. You get scared. I get scared sometimes. Even having this conversation today, I was like, how am I going to? I had a lot of things to do today, but I was like, how am I going to have this conversation? How am I going to pull it up? I also get tensed. I'm sure most people would not even realize that I also get tensed and I get worried. Like, how is this conversation going to go? How is the outcome? How are people going to receive the conversation? But am I doing it? Yes, I'm showing up, right? It's about showing up. So like I keep saying, do it afraid. Even if you're scared, do it afraid. Start. The honest truth is, when you start, you would see that your skills will start sharpening. But if you don't start at all, you wouldn't know where to adjust. So if you start, you make something, somebody may correct you. Oh, you didn't do this right. You've picked out a lesson. Okay, next time I will ensure that this is right. Tomorrow, when you keep on working, you keep on researching, how do I do things better? You see that you start developing your skills. And when you start developing your skills, you're growing. And Jamila said it to us. Sometimes you can set your goals small, but they say dream big. But in order to reach that goal is for you to identify what are the things that I need to do to be able to reach my big goal, and take those small steps every day. So for everybody who applied for this mentorship, it's not everybody that is showing up on this call. It's not. And there's so many reasons why people are not showing up. There's light issues, there's battery issues, there's network issues. And there's the whole Nigerian challenge issues. But filling that application when you saw the call to take this mentorship was a step that you took, right? Being in the room and joining the conversations is a step that you take. If you miss the conversations, going to the YouTube videos, watching the videos is a step that you take. I want you that every session that you attend, you take at least one thing that will make a difference to you. If you do not take anything, take one thing. Always put it down to say, this session, I took one thing and I will put it. The honest truth, I'll keep saying, the reason we started this mentorship at WiLG was to create opportunities that we didn't have, was to sit and have a conversation with young women that we did not have. If I had had certain conversations, if we had spoken to certain people when I was in university, or when I was just graduating, or when I was in my NYSC, I would have done a lot of things different than I sometimes, but I'm happy for where I am. But I'm also trying to charge you today to make a difference. It doesn't matter how small it is. Like Jamila said it yesterday, sometimes we think that we're not having the impact that we are supposed to have. It's because we're measuring it on other people's meter. We're measuring our successes on other people's meters. But if we measure our success from our own meter, from our own goals, we will see that we have done amazingly well. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. Starting the step to starting this mentorship meant I had to go back to my connections to say, please, can you be a mentor? I would like to help you. I'm sure that the women will learn and immerse, immensely from your conversation and from your contribution, right? But it has made me different ever since joining the conversation. I mean, since I learned what Jamila says, delete, prioritize, delegate, I have unconsciously I've started doing it. Things that I cannot, I prioritize my work. So currently I'm in school now. So I have to prioritize my school, and I also have to prioritize the mentorship. So I set my calendars. My school, my assignments, and having the mentorship is a priority. The other things that I don't need, I put them in the second box. I can delay them, right? There are other things that I have deleted and say, okay, like social events. Like in school now, we're doing, I mean, there are welcome events, meet and greets, just for us to get to know each other. I have put that under delay, or some of them I have actually deleted because I cannot attend. So I have been learning from the sessions myself, and I'm sure that you have also been learning from it too. So let's just go into the nitty and gritty of it. Setting strategies. What are the strategies that we can use to build our visibility and connections? The first thing that you need to do is to identify your goals. And we're going to do a SWOT analysis, and the SWOT analysis will help you to be able to identify your goals. The honest truth is that our dream should scare us, but our goals need to be smart, and you need to set them per time. And don't ever feel that you can't change your goals, right? You can always change your goals. It's not cast in stone. If you're doing something and it's not working, you can move it the other way. You can always switch. Don't ever feel that you can't change your goals. But one thing, in order to build visibility, you have to identify your goals, right? And I'll use myself as an example so that it's easier for us. Or does somebody want to tell me what sector they work in? Okay. So I think, Tony, would you like to tell me the sector you work in? Let's use that as an example. What do you currently do? Hi, Tony. You can drop it in the comment section, or you can just unmute and speak. Okay. I don't know if Tony can hear us, but does anybody else want to share what they do? So we'll use that as an example, use that sector as an example. Anybody?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Tony.
Presently, I'm an accountant. I work with an auditing firm.
Accountant.
Not
Auditing.
certificate, an accountant.
Okay, thank you very much. That's great.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I work with an auditing
Okay.
firm. Yes, ma'am.
So accountants and auditing firm. So just give me a moment, okay. You work at an accountant and an auditing firm, right? So we'll use this example and we would see. In order to build, okay, renewable energy sector, right? Okay, so that goes down to climate change and how we're changing to efficient energy. Okay, engineer. Oh, wow, we have great women in the room. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate that. So, I mean, I'll be moving from different sectors. So we have accountant, we have energy, and we have engineering. And I'll give an example. So how do you identify your goal, right? I'll use Tony as an example. She works in an auditing firm and she studied accounting. Let's just assume that she just graduated from university. How can she build connection and how can she build her visibility? She first has to identify her goals. Number one, her goal may be to work in the big four. They're the big four tech. I mean, for the financing sector, there's a big four. The Anderson, the Ernest and Young, the, I hope I'm getting them right. The, have I forgotten someone? Deloitte. Yeah. So the big four. Your goal may be to work in the big four, right? Let's just write that, work in the big four. Your second goal is to get your ICANN, right? Be a chartered accountant. You also want to be one of the top accountants in Nigeria, right? So here's what we're going to do. So she has identified 3 goals. You want to work in the big four in Nigeria. You want to be a chartered accountant. And you want to be one of the top accountants in what you're doing. I mean, I forgot, I wanted to put the story of the young girl who was included in the tax. I think there was a tax policy, or President Tinubu formed a tax, let me just say like his tax team. And there's a young girl who is in university, I think she's in University of Lagos, and she was included in that. She was included in that because of her visibility. She worked in the tax space. She started, I think she worked in they have a university club where they work on tax. She had started building her profile at university, and that was what brought her to the seat at the table. And now she's in the Presidential Tax Committee. Oh, I've forgotten what the name is. But I mean, I'll check her story later and I'll share that. So that I wanted to put that. So we have identified Tony's goal. She wants to work in the big four. She wants to be a chartered accountant, and she wants to be one of the top accountants in Nigeria. What do you start? We have identified her goal. Her goal are genuine. You start attending networking events. Thank God for technology. You do not have to be physical in that space. You go to the Big Four's LinkedIn page. You go and start seeing events that they host. I know that Deloitte always has like tax conversations that they host, and they post it on LinkedIn. I've seen a few of them. They also post job opportunities on their LinkedIn. So what you will do is you go to their LinkedIn page and start looking for their events. You start looking for networking events that accountants are going for. So you'll focus on your sector, right? You start looking for online networking events. So you can have physical, you can have online, depending on where you're staying, right? Just Google events for chartered accountants in Abuja if you're staying in Abuja. In Lagos, go to LinkedIn and type that. Top accountants. You can just Google top accountants in Nigeria. Top women in the banking sector. Top men in the banking sector. You would want to follow someone like Sterling Bank that has, I think it's Mr. Abubakar as the starting. What I mean, Mr. Abubakar always comes and drops nuggets on his Twitter page. You start following him because he is a top leader in the banking sector. He would be dropping conversations about what is happening in that sector. You're following the trend of that sector. So you go, he will drop something that's happening in the bank, and you go back and you go and learn it. So for Tony, she's working in an auditing firm. As long as she would follow people in the accounting sector. She would also follow people in the auditing sector. What are the trends in the auditing sector? You want to be following it. Just click on LinkedIn and search that. You will see it. You will start seeing them. Follow people on. So it's not everybody you will see, you will just be following. You have to follow deliberately and intentionally because you want to learn what they are doing. So there's mentorship from being in the room with the person. There's also mentorship from following. There are a lot of people that I follow that I look at and I learn from them. So you start looking for events to attend. You may not be able to, I mean, you're working back and forth, you're a student back and forth. You may not be able to attend a lot. But at least in 3 months, your goal, you can set your goal. I want to attend 1 networking event and I want to meet 1 person in the sector. If you go and meet 1 person in the sector and say, oh, this is what I would like to do. Please, if you hear anything, please, I would like you to share with me. I would like to share your email, so I'll send it to you. I'll follow you on LinkedIn. There are many people that have messaged me on LinkedIn and say, oh, I would like to work in the tech space. Do you have any advice for me? And anytime I see any opportunity of a training in technology or data protection or a mentorship that gears towards that, I will click it and I'll go back to that person's LinkedIn. I will just go back to my message in LinkedIn and send it to the person. The only reason I remember that is because that person has sent me a message. I may not speak to the person every day. I may not have a conversation with the person. But when I see an opportunity, that person is the first person that comes to my mind, right? Seek mentorship opportunities. If you see certain people, I mean, being here alone, you have sought mentorship opportunities, right? Be bold. The honest truth is, women need to start creating that chair for ourselves and support your sister. So this fellowship is about building support. Now you know what Tony does. Now you know somebody is in the energy sector. If you see a climate change opportunity or a climate change conversation, share it on the group. If you see an opportunity that gears towards Tony's line, share it on the group. That's the way you're supporting your sister and opening doors. Keep hearing the conversation that women don't support women, but we need to change that conversation to say women support women. And that's how we build our network. So Tony is in this room, Boluwatife is in this room, and we're all in this room. We are building connections. I'm seeing you. So we are building connections, both of us. If I see something that is geared towards Tony, I'll remember that Tony told me she's an accountant and she works in this sector, right? And I'll say, you should attend this event to be really, really good to you. And when you attend this event, be prepared, have your card, start up conversations, talk to people. For a very long time, I've been a shy person. I'll go to events, I'll just keep quiet. I'll go somewhere, I'll just keep quiet. But I started learning that you cannot keep quiet again. As a woman, you need to have conversations. And their conversation starters, when you see somebody, you can just say, oh, your presentation was brilliant. I loved it and I learned so much from it. When somebody is speaking in an engagement, or before you even go to, sometimes you are going for an event, they'll put the speakers, Google them. If they have, sometimes you see their YouTube videos, you can see something, go on their Instagram or their LinkedIn page, see something that they posted recently. You just type it. When you go for that conversation, after they finish speaking at the event, you can walk up to them and say, oh my, recently, I was just looking at your LinkedIn page. The person would, that consciousness you're putting towards the person knows you're not coming to bullshit them. They know that you have taken time to look at what they are doing and to connect it with what you're doing. Is the intentionality about it. Volunteer and join organizations. One of the things that brought me to a lot of people, there's a friend of mine who will come to speak later on, Eminent. I met Eminent. I call her the volunteer plug. She has an organization. I met Eminent when we were both volunteering at MANI, Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative. And Eminent is an efficient person. I've worked with a lot of people, but Eminent is efficient at what she does. When I sent her the message and I say, please send me your profile picture and your bio, she sent me a link. So she's so efficient that she already has a link for her bio, and she stated it short bio, long bio. So if you want her short bio, she has it. If you want your long bio, she has it. She has her pictures in the folder. She was already prepared, and it's always good for preparedness to meet opportunity. Maintain relationships. I'll try and pick up my pace now. Maintain relationships. You want to be able to maintain valuable relationships. There are some people that you would meet, right? You see somebody say, oh, this person was my classmate. This person was my classmate, and they're doing great things. But the fact that you did not build a connection with them, you can't walk up to them to, connect you in certain places when they go higher. Right? Because you did not build the right connection. So I would say it and I'll keep repeating it. Build connections with every sister during this fellowship. We sent you people the list of the teams. Try and go to LinkedIn and click so I think that we're going to do that. We'll make everybody share their LinkedIn page so that we can, or their social media pages, and we'll share ours so that we can all follow each other, so that you can get to connect with your sisters who are in this fellowship with you. So I will do that. Please, if I forget, please, someone should remind me about that. Volunteer, it's a good way. I know that Sharon talked about it yesterday. Sometimes volunteer with a plan. So don't just volunteer, pick an organization that works in your field. There are various organizations now that are working on climate change. If climate change is something that interests you, volunteer there. Because they would host sessions, they will host events, they will host training sessions. They would want to invest in their volunteers. You attend. One day they'll say, oh, maybe the founder can't have time to go for a meeting. They'll say, please, can you go? Because they know that you're always valuable and you always bring insights. Please, can you attend this meeting? As they're sending you for that meeting, it's a trust that they're trusting you. And as you're going there, you're building your own network because it's you that goes to represent the organization. So you're the face of that organization when you go to a place. So anywhere that you are, if you're too shy to speak, just compliment the person. You look beautiful. Your smile is lovely. You do not know how, I mean, everybody's troubled in the world. Everybody has their problems. You don't know how far a compliment can get somebody. If you dress nicely and come out and someone tells you, oh my God, sister, you look nice today. I mean, just try it tomorrow. When you're going out, any girl you see, just tell them you look lovely, sister. You would see the smile on their face. Sometimes I'm having a bad day and I'm just walking and someone just tells me, oh, you look nice. Oh, I love your hair. And I will smile and the only thing I'll just be remembering is that they told me my hair is fine. They told me my dressing is fine. They told me I'm beautiful. So if that's always a conversation starter. Offer help and support. Offer help and support. Sharon gave the story yesterday of how when the mentor she had followed up on LinkedIn, met with her and he told her, how can I help you? But she turned the question around to say, no, sir, how can I help you? Most times, people or mentors in the space are always hearing, they're always used to hearing, I need this, I need that. Somebody is always coming to take. But when you come with a different value, and that's why they talked about adding value. When you come with a different value to someone, they will never forget you. It's just like you're going for, just imagine you're going for let me not say an interview. You're going to meet your mentor, whether online or offline. And you go back and research about your mentor. And you have the conversation, you write your points, strategies you would like to have the conversation with your mentor. And then you start talking and you say, oh, I see that your organization does this. I would like to volunteer. This is an example. I would like to volunteer. I see that you have some online sessions. Please, I'd like to volunteer to, write summaries of your meetings, or I'd like to attend your networking events and assist any way that I can. Let me know how I can assist. Let me know how I can help. The person may tell you, oh no, at that point, they don't need your help. They may be doing something and they realize, oh, I need help in this. And they will charge you and they will say, what can you do? And they would give you the task to deliver. And it's left for you to, deliver when they ask you. One thing I would advise is don't exploit mentors when they give you their space. Sometimes people would exploit that space and you start talking rudely to them and you see them because you have that connection with them or you have that rapport with them, you start taking them for granted. Please don't do that. Please respect people's spaces and respect that they brought you into their space and they're mentoring you. Another one, like I said, attend seminars, workshops. I focus on technology law. So most of the times I'm always looking for tech spaces, conversations online. I always join because you never know, you always pick something from every session you join. Online, you pick the conversations. What I also try to do is I go and follow organizations that are working in the tech field, whether it's a law firm, whether it's a tech company like Paystack, and see what they're having their conversations about, right? Follow what they're doing. Always follow the trend in your space, wherever you're working. As an engineer, you want to see what are engineers talking about. If you see, sometimes there are some organizations that will do 2024 projections in your space. So they've done all the work for you. They just told you the projections in your space. It's left for you to study it. Sometimes they're the global ones. Sometimes they're the regional ones, like in Africa. They'll project things that would happen within Africa. And sometimes they'll project things that will happen globally. So you have to be able to follow things that are happening globally as well as things that are happening regionally, because then it helps you with conversations. It helps you to be knowledgeable in everything, and be patient and be persistent. One thing I'll say, be persistent. Celebrate the small wins. never look down on your journey. Never look down on what you do, because it will take you places. So let's talk. I wanted us to talk and speak about how can connections and network, what can connections and networks do for you? So if you want to drop it in the chat box, if you want to just, let it, just say it. I mean, it's a free space. You can just on your, I'm sure that we all have stories that what our networks have done for us, or what our connections have done for us, what visibility has done for you. So if you can just drop in the comment section, that would be great, and I will read that. Feel free. I mean, I would start. I mean, one thing that is strong that connections have done for me is, yeah. Favor. Yeah, go ahead. You can unmute. Favor. Okay. So, I mean, if you've raised up your hand, just unmute and speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is Salvation. Yeah, so I run a non profit organization, and connection had made me secure partnership with brands, um people who just believe what I'm doing, and I don't need to like struggle. They just see it and, oh, I trust this babe with this thing. She's going to do well. She's going to manage the funds well, and she's going to give reports. So I think connection has give me that feasibility that I don't even need to like struggle that somebody just remember that, oh, this baby is doing this thing, and they reach out immediately and it's work on a platter of gold. I don't need like to struggle for it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing, Salvation. So what does your NGO focus about? I'd like to know.
Okay, so we advocate against child sexual abuse, gender-based violence. Yeah, that's what we do.
Okay. I mean, it's good to hear, because this is something that we do. So if there's any time you want to reach out to partner in something, we are very open to partnering with you. I mean, see that just speaking up today has seen, I would love to have certain programs, because sometimes I see that at WiLG, we want to do certain things, but we do not have partners. Sometimes we have partners, but it's also good to see that you're here and you're doing something that we're doing, gender-based violence. I mean, I give an instance, we can host a Twitter space and we can bring people to have conversations about it. We can also have, I mean, during the 16 days of activism, we can work out something and just collaborate. So you see how just speaking up has changed that dynamics. Thank you very much, Salvation.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma.
I look forward to the collaboration. I will chat you up later so that we'll talk about the modalities. But connection, I mean, this just right here shows an example of how I have gotten a partnership with Salvation's Nigerians. I mean, we're going to work out how we can work together, because even in the SDGs, they talk about collaboration as a 17th goal, because as we cannot work as silos, we need to work and connect with each other. So yeah, thank you. Somebody else, Favor, wanted to say something? Favor? Okay. I don't know. Let me check the comment section in case I missed something. All right. Yeah, let's go. Favor, whenever you want to drop, just drop it in the comment section. I'll come back to it. So, I mean, I want to also talk about tools that can build your visibility. And social media is a great. Okay. Sorry, I understand you're in a noisy place. That's cool. Okay, that's fine. That's good. So social media is a really great platform, right? Because I mean, it's allowing us to have this conversation today on, we're having this conversation, we're connecting, we're networking. LinkedIn, I mean, something, I'll keep going back to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is really a professional network and it has brought so many opportunities. I have worked with certain people by just them entering my DM to say, oh, I see that you work in this space. Please, would you like to join this research, or would you like to engage in this? And that has been really, really good too. I mean, it has been good for me. So, okay, sorry. It has been good to me. So I keep saying LinkedIn is your LinkedIn is the new CV. So people will go to, most times sometimes you see somebody has searched you. They're going to see what you're doing. They're going to see what you do. LinkedIn has newsletters. One thing I used to do is write. So I used to blog and I used to write. I still write though. Let me not say used to. So I started thinking out loud with Veronica, where I share opportunities and as well as I blog and share my journey. But recently I started Leadership Lessons as a newsletter, and I've been using LinkedIn and Medium. But I've been using Medium, right? So if you say that you work in a certain space, how have you utilized the tools that are there for you? Some people are good with TikTok. An example is Aproko Doctor. Aproko Doctor is a doctor, but he has used social media to not only educate people about medical things, but he has used it for advocacy. And what has he done for him? It has opened doors for him. It has opened connections for him. It has built collaboration. I mean, he's always saying, drink water, drink water. I think Aproko Doctor is always shouting anything, drink water. And he got the sponsorship and collaboration with Aquafina water. So if he wasn't utilizing TikTok or social media, Instagram to share his videos, Aquafina would have never partnered with him. And he would have said, oh, I'm a medical doctor. I can make money. I can start, working as a medical doctor. But he started using social media as a tool for advocacy to educate people about health issues, about health topics, how we should eat right, how we should exercise. I mean, every time I say an Aproko video, I watch it to the end. I watch from the beginning to the end, and you always learn something. So look at what social media platform fits you. Is it Twitter? Is Twitter better for you? Or is it LinkedIn? Or is it both? But always follow people in your field. If you work in engineering, who are the top engineers in Nigeria? Who are the top engineers globally? What are the top engineering firms? Because if you look at them, they will be engaging. Bill Gates has a newsletter. I think he calls it Gates Notes. I'll share it on the group so that people can go and subscribe to it. I read it when he posts. Anytime I get a notification. He writes about several issues. Today he's talking about eradicating malaria. Tomorrow he's talking about something. He's always traveling and he always documents it on his LinkedIn newsletter. Bill Gates, he has made money for himself. He has made a name for himself, but he's still using social media as a tool to engage. And he's using LinkedIn newsletters, right? So that's something you can start. You can start a newsletter and you can write about things that, are focused on your own industry. You can also publish LinkedIn gives you can publish articles. I keep saying LinkedIn because LinkedIn is more professional, right? I was trying to see how we can build our professionalism. There are other platforms. You can have YouTube. Some people are podcasters. You can start a podcast, right? Start something. Sometimes you may start a podcast and you have few sessions. Before you know what is happening, you transcend into YouTube. People are making money from their YouTube videos, right? So there's so many things that you can do, that you can leverage that content. If you're a motivational speaker, you can create a 1 minute, 2 minute video every day. Oh, today is a motivational day. I want to share a day with me as a something. Start something. Find your own niche and find what medium works for you and utilize it. If anybody wants to start a LinkedIn newsletter, reach out to me. I would help you go with the steps. If you want to feel like you don't know what to talk about, you want to host it, message me. Enter my DMs. That's fine. You can learn skills like Canva, graphics design. I told you yesterday how I design almost all our content on our social media platforms and everything that we're using. I learned that via going to YouTube and just type in how to use Canva, and I started following a page and they'll give you step by steps how to use Canva. And that's how I'm still learning. I'm not a professional graphics designer, but like I can. Okay, someone said they'll reach out. Okay, cool. I'll be waiting for you to reach out, right? Start blogging. Medium is there. You can always use Medium. Medium is something that will last. So normally I'll post on Medium and I'll still post on LinkedIn. I'll have the two, right? Collaborate. You are here now. You are supposed to do your project. Find out who is in your group. I'll redrop. I know we sent it with the email, but I'll redrop the groups on. Start discussing as a group. You can identify. I think that what we'll do is also an introductions, because we haven't done an introduction on the WhatsApp group. So we would give room for people to drop their names, what they do, their social media pages. They'll drop it so that we can follow each other and we can get to know what they do. So I'll send a group so we start knowing each other, to know who we are and know the people who are in the room. Right? Collaborate. And that's what we're trying to build, how women can collaborate together to do things, right? So if you're working in your groups and you are thinking about what project to do, are we going to host a Twitter space? Are we going to write an article? Are we going to write a poem? Are we going to do a YouTube video? Are we going to do a TikTok video? Are we also going to host a webinar? Are we going to do a TikTok video to raise awareness on a certain issue, right? As a group. That collaboration is not only teaching you how to work as a team. The collaboration is building your skills of networking, because those people who are in your group, you form a bond with them. You will learn how to work as a team. You would learn project management, how to ideate of a project, so what we're doing, you should engage because it's intentional. You may go for one job you may go for a job interview, and then they'll tell you, have you had experience building a project? Have you had experience with project implementation, delivery, ideation? You will remember that you were in a mentorship and you say, yes. During my mentorship at WiLG, we ideated on a program and we were to host a Twitter space to raise awareness on this. And we connected with people, we leveraged on what we should speak on. That is the process of ideating a program and delivering it, and it reached its stage. You implemented it, you looked at the outcomes. That alone is a skill that would help you during an interview or something that you're doing, right? Learning, always learn. There's Coursera, there are so many tools you can use to learn today. One thing I always use is YouTube. So, for cooking, even if it's puff, I like eating puff. So when I started learning how to make puff, I just went on YouTube, how to make puff. Step by step, they'll be telling you, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is how to make puff. You'll tell you all the ingredients, you write it down, you go and buy. It's the same thing. There's a lady, I think it's Bar with Ola. She's on YouTube. She's teaching lawyers how to move emotion. If you've forgotten how to move emotion, you just go to her page. If you go to LinkedIn, how to move emotion, it will come out. She will give you step by steps. You write it down. If you're an engineer, if you're in the renewable energy space, just go and say trending topics on renewable energy. You would see it will come out. It will bring you latest events that people have had and they have hosted on and they have posted on YouTube. And you can listen to the conversation. Sometimes I wake up in the morning. I follow American news, and how I follow American news, I used to watch Trevor Noah at that time when he was on the late night show. So now I follow, that's the way of me updating myself, is what's happening in America, right? You need to keep updated with trends. How do you do? I always watch Arise News. Anybody that knows me, I love watching Arise. I love watching Ruben Abati, because you stay updated. You know that thing where we say, oh, our parents like watching news. Now you have a phone. You can just pick your phone, the morning session starts at by 8. You join the morning show and listen to the conversation that is happening in the country. Because it will help you. You will hear, most of the time, they'll bring newspaper analysts, they'll bring people to speak about the issue. Sometimes somebody is hosting a speaking engagement. They come on TV to publicize it. If you're too busy and you cannot watch it, you can go to YouTube, and YouTube allows you to download or to save the videos. So you can just go and say, Arise show today. You will see the show and you can just download it later in your free time. And sometimes, like when I'm cooking or when I'm eating, I listen to the news. Always stay updated with the news, right? Virtual events, I've spoken a lot about virtual events and sessions and how you can use it. social media is a great tool, and you have to stay informed with, with social trends. So that's it. I've spoken a lot today, and I hope that you have gotten a few things. So I want us to have a SWOT analysis.
Sorry, please, can you show the last slide again? I'm jotting the last three slides. I'm jotting the notes, please.
Oh, no, don't worry, Bolu. Since I'm the one doing it, I can share my I will share the presentation on the group. So don't worry, I will share for you.
Thank you.
I would share it to the group. I will download it and I would share it to the group. So I want us to run a SWOT analysis. Yeah. Sharon, I see you raised your hand. Do you have a question? Okay. I wanted to stop sharing and I want to reshare. Yeah. So I want us to have a SWOT exercise, right? So that we can understand what it is to do a SWOT analysis, right? Because the SWOT analysis helps you take on your strengths, identify your weaknesses, and the opportunities that lie there to you and the threats. In doing this, it will help you know what are the opportunities there for me, right? What are the threats that can affect me? And it will help you to be able to focus on what to improve. So I'll use myself as an example, right? What are my strengths, right? I specialize in the tech space, tech law space. So I try to, can everybody see the page? Is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we start with strengths, right? I work in the tech law space and I work with tech policy and research, right? So that's something I work on. So that's one I know is my strength, right? So what other strengths do I have? I do a lot of tech agreements, right? I know tech agreements. I engage with policymakers. Sorry, I'm coming. Let me get my housemates to stop making noise. Okay, sorry. I was hearing their voice in the conversation. So yeah, right? So I engage with policymakers, right? And I work in the tech space. So everything, I follow all technology trends, right? So I follow tech trends. So now I try to follow what the National Assembly is doing on technology law. They're trying to pass, there's a bill for online safety for children online, right? So yeah, those are strengths. What's my weakness? I would say time management, right? Because sometimes I see myself like having a lot of things to do. So yeah, how to manage my time. I mean, Jamila gave me the new skill I'm using on how to manage my time, but that's also something that happens to me, and most times I see myself procrastinating and delaying certain issues. But since I've learned that delay, prioritize, I've started doing that, but still I'm working at it. So my weaknesses, another of my weaknesses is perfection. Sometimes I want everything to be perfect. I'll be like, oh, before we start a program, let's have it perfect. I want everything to be perfect. It's a good thing because I want to ensure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's. But I've seen that it's a bad thing, because sometimes instead of me to just do it once it comes to my mind, I would delay it because I'm thinking about the strategy to do it. And most times timing is crucial when you're doing stuff. Timing is very, very crucial. But most times if you keep going back and forth, like I used to do sometimes, I want perfectionism. Like today when I saw the number of people in the room, I'm like, oh, should we have this conversation? But I've told myself that even if it's one person that joins this mentorship and learns something from it, if somebody is able to deliver, if we're able to inspire just one person, it would be enough for me. It's better we inspire even just one person as opposed to not even inspiring anybody at all. So what are the opportunities for me, right? The opportunities for me to work in a tech company, right? I can also work with government as a policy advisor. I want you to pay attention to what I'm writing, because it's those opportunities that will take me to how, why did my government spelling go back? Okay, work with the government. It's those, what I'm writing now is what will help me towards my goal professionally, right? It will help me to be able to strategize what to do. So I can work with a tech company. I can work with government. I can also work as a researcher, independent researcher. You can work as an independent researcher. I can work as an independent researcher. I can also, I can also work independent in the tech space, right? In the tech law space. I can also collaborate with organizations in the tech space. Are you seeing how you're shaping your opportunities? Because as you're writing, you are, no, that's not it. As you're writing these opportunities, you are seeing 1,000,001 things you can do, right? I mean, let's look at threats now. What can be my threats? Something that can be my threats is, I mean, time can be my threat again. Funds, I need to survive, right? So I need to survive. So money, funds can be, I may not have money to be able to do this, right? Opportunities for me, I can also volunteer for tech organizations, because that will get me to the room. I can also join tech programs. I'm presently in a tech fellowship, but I can also apply for tech law opportunities, right? I can start writing about my journey to the tech space, right? Topical issues in technology law. You have seen how we have just sat down, how many minutes, and we have identified, you've identified my strengths, we've identified my weaknesses, we've identified, I think opportunities are more in this place. So you see how you will sit down and write your opportunities. I mean, another strength is I'm a law graduate, right? And I've been called to the bar, right? You may have a master's, and I'm running my master's now. So once I get my master's, that's an added strength, right? So you may have your master's. You can have ICANN. That's your strength. You have a certificate. That's your strength. You have gone to a fellowship program, right? That's your strength. You have you have partners in your organization. That's your strength. As those partners have opened connections for you. You have connections in the space. You may not have leveraged on those connections, but you have those connections in the space. So you've listed out your strengths, you've listed out your weaknesses. What does this make you do? It now allows you to create a strategy. Personal development plan. This will now lead you to your personal development plan. And you can also have it personal and professional, right? Personal and professional development plan. Okay. Okay, so let me do something. Let me pick these opportunities. Sorry, I'm taking some of your time, but I really just want us to have this practical session so that when you're doing it by yourself, it's easier for you to relate to it when you're trying to create your own opportunities. When you're trying to, because I mean, some people will say, I don't know what to do and I don't know how to do it. But if you sit down and look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and this can be done for even organizations. So if you work in a workplace and you want to impress your boss, because nowadays bosses are looking for who is taking initiative. Who is taking initiative? You want to impress your boss. There's something called this. I mean, when I was in Kaduna State, we learned this with Malam Nasir El-Rufai. He taught us about the 7 S's, the McKinsey strategy of how to look at an organization. You will scan an organization, see the strengths, the weaknesses, the staff, the values, and that would help you to be able to pick out the strengths and the weaknesses in the organization and how we should grow. So from this session alone, if you go and sit down and evaluate not only your personal life and your professional life, but you evaluate it for your organization, and you go back and you tell your boss, sir, I did an evaluation, a 7S evaluation of our organization, and I've identified certain weaknesses that our organization have, and I have profiled certain solutions, and here is the result, and you give it to your boss. Don't you see that in that singular act, you have added value to that organization? Even if it's an organization that you volunteer for, you have added value into it, right? So I'll just quickly write on the strategy and how to do your personal development plan. So we have seen certain opportunities that I can take up. So my personal development plan, I'll pick on, okay, let's start with volunteering. Okay. So what I go to LinkedIn is to say, what organizations are working in the tech space? I mean, non-profit space, and they are focusing on tech. So there's Techa. I don't know if I'm sure people are familiar with Techa. There's an organization called Techa. So I can say, I want to volunteer with Techa. There's an organization called Paradigm Initiative, PIN. PIN is a good place to volunteer. I write it down, right? I can say, okay, another opportunity is I can get certification. So I can develop myself more. So you seek opportunities for trainings in my space, right? So you see, volunteering, I've already identified 2 organizations that work in the non-profit space. PIN always have this Drift conference session. So you see, online events, just off the top of my head. PIN have this yearly Drift. They have this Drift, and this year's Drift is in Ghana. So they're having this, even if I cannot attend physically, you can always attend online. So an organization event, this is just off the top of my head, following social media, I've seen two places I may want to volunteer, because TechHer works with women. PIN does a lot of work with youth engagement. Online events, I already know that Drift is. So I can go and start following TechHer now on LinkedIn to be able to see the events that they are doing. You can also look at who is the founder of TechHer. It's Madam Choma. You can follow Madam Choma, see what she's doing. You can just send her an email or send her a message on LinkedIn. You can follow her, see the conversation she's having. If you see them placing an event, you just say, please, madam, this is for me now. I can message her and say, Madam Choma, I would like to volunteer in your organization. Please, I see that you're having this organization. How can I come in as a volunteer? And you say, just for that event alone. But you have built a connection and you have built a network with TechHer and you've built a connection with Madam Choma. You can also do that with PIM, Paradigm Initiative. Mr. Benga Sosan is their executive director. You can follow him. If you don't want to follow the top people at the organizations, you can follow other people who work in that organization. If you go and put PIN, it will bring out all the people working in that organization on LinkedIn, right? You can work on independent research. So sometimes some organizations do call for papers, right? You can just set call for papers in the tech space. And sorry, I'm using myself as an example, right? I can do call for papers in the tech space. So I can just tell myself this year, even if it's one publication, I want to be published once in a news article, apart from the personal one I will write, right? And you can do that. So you see that in the way that we have identified my strengths, my weaknesses, we have also identified opportunities, right? We're developing a plan. This is how you would do it, right? So let's just say I want to start writing, right? So I want to start writing. So you want to write. How do you start writing? You first have to follow trends. Trends in this space. What are people talking about? When you hear them talking about it, you go and research. You can go and watch YouTube videos. You can join Twitter sessions that have that conversation. You can join, and then you're able to start writing. Oh, so I joined this space so now let's just give an example. You joined this fellowship and they taught you about how to conduct a SWOT analysis and personal development plan, professional. If you've never done it before and you go back and say, okay, I'm going to write it for my organization, you do it for your organization, and you give your boss, you can just come and okay, how I wrote a 7S evaluation for my organization. And then you write about what started the journey, why you went into it, what you found, the solutions, and then you can post it. When somebody sees that and reads that thing you have posted, they have seen that you have added value in your organization. They have seen your intentionality, and it would help work with you. So what collaborations can I do? Right? So Salvation had spoken about her organization and how we can partner with her. So that's something I may want to get. So if you sit down and write these evaluations, you would see for yourself, take time. What do they call this? Go to a quiet place, sit down, write your strengths, write your weaknesses, write your opportunities, write the threats. You will be able to say, these are my strategies. Then for the threats, you say, how do you prevent them? Right? So you're trying to work on mitigating strategies. No. Then you put mitigating strategies on how you do it. We'll use Jemila's this formula. You delay, you delegate, you prioritize, and that will help me to solve my time management. For funding, if I collaborate with somebody else, we can share funding. If I apply for funding, like if you're an NGO, apply for funding. So what you can do, if you've missed application cycle for funding, go and look at people, organizations working in your space and those that are being funded. See the organization that is funding them, write it down. Write out, go and search the date the application came out. So you follow that organization. Then you will know when their next funding cycle comes out. So you'll be informed. So I think that, I mean, you can go back, you can look at it again. I'll share this page. I'll share a template for SWOT analysis and as well a personal development plan. And if you want us to look over it for you, if you want us to have that conversation and we can brainstorm, you can always reach out to me. But I hope that you were able to learn from this session. So I'll be taking questions now. I think that I am done. So we would have our question and answer session. So if anybody wants to ask me a question, please feel free to ask me. If there was something you didn't understand, if there's something you wanted, okay. Okay. When a person, why is this thing not big? Okay, let me use my microphone. Sorry. Just let me. Okay. When a person is trying to establish their visibility online, which is advisable, focusing on a particular topic of interest or sharing things online to get people's attention. I think that you could do both, right? Because whatever you're writing, you're trying to get people's attention, right? But in the first few days, have it at the back of your mind. Some people may engage, some people may not engage, right? So it's not, I don't know who, I think I saw on TikTok, someone posted one of Enyi's first videos where he was speaking and sharing, oh, this is my day, this is what I do, this is how I do. He was sharing his day and sharing all the activities he did on TikTok. And that person shared Enyi's first videos. And now we all know how many views Enyi gets from just posting his conversation videos, his eating videos. Enyi likes food. But you've seen that Enyi is someone who's intelligent, came out with a first class, he's doing what he's doing. He's even an ambassador for some organizations. He's speaking for women empowerment, against domestic violence. So sometimes it's about finding what suits you, and it just starts. So now I worked in a technology law firm, but after a while, I saw that I geared towards digital rights. So once you start in a space, don't feel like I must stay in this space. You can move, you can bend, you can evolve, right? But how are you going to evolve to know which place suits you? Is when you start. Because when you start, then you're able to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what interests you, what doesn't interest you. So it's easier for you to see something that interests you and focus on that. And it's easier for you to also see something that doesn't interest you and say, I'm not going to do that, right? So I hope I answered your question. I think that is both. One thing is just start. Start outlining what you want to talk about, who is in the space. So what you want to talk about, what interests you, what are people saying around in that area, what is happening in that space, who organizations to follow. Start writing this down. You would see that and then one thing again, you should always engage on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. Always drop comments on people's pages. If you see somebody doing something, drop a comment on their page. This is very insightful, ma. This is very, because other people will start seeing that you're commenting on other people's page and other people want to see who is this person. That's how you get people to follow you, right? And when you start posting the things that you're doing, if you also comment on other people's posts when they do post and engage with them, you will see that when they see your own post, they will start engaging with you. And that's how you're building online connections. There are a lot of people I'm friends with online. I've never met them, but they're my friends because we built a connection online, right? What if So I hope that answers it. What if you are good at so many things and you do a lot? How do you make people know you for one thing? That's interesting. So I mean, Jamila said it here. I think it was Sharon that said it, like you can pick your top 3. So I'll give you an example of myself. I've always been passionate about human rights, and that's one thing that took me about the law. So there's human rights, there's the law aspect of me, there's the humanitarian aspect of me, and there's the tech law aspect of me, right? But when I started technology law, so I started with technology law and learning about technology law. When I started in this space, over time, I got to know about digital rights. And digital rights is just like when technology meets human rights. So in the end, it's just like what I love doing is human rights. Then Anna came and saw digital rights, is human rights online with our engagement with technology and our engagement online. And I'm like, okay, that interests me. So I'm known for that. And I'm also known for the NGO aspect where I'm doing human rights issues and I'm working on equipping women through mentorship and empowerment programs or initiatives, right? So sit down and write down what are the top 3 things. So what you can do is write down all the things that interest you, all the things that you're doing. Pick a pen. I'm always with my pen and paper on my notebook. Always sit down and write the top things, Bolu, that you are interested in. When you write the top things that you're interested in, say, why are you interested in this thing? What areas are you interested in? Why am I interested in this area? When you're able to pick out that, pick which one excites you or which one do you see. Most times you will see that most of the things that you're interested in connect. Most of the things that you do connect. But when you're able to outline them out, you would see how they can connect. And I'll give you an example. So I like human rights. I also wanted to be part of an organization, volunteer. I still volunteer for organizations sometimes. And you still want to be part of that. And then you still want to work in your space, right? So you put what you're interested in. So Bolu, would you want to share some of the things that you're interested in so we could help?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm interested in youth development. I love empowering youth. Yes, I love speaking. I love public speaking. That's why most times when I go to events, if they are looking for anybody that will give feedback, I love talking. I love speaking, youth development. Then I do a lot of community projects. I do, and also lastly, education. Yes, educational reform. So I think those are what I am
Right?
interested in.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's see how we're going to merge all the things that you're doing, and I'll show you how merging it would show you, right? So you are interested in public speaking. In youth engagement, you would always speak. In community projects, you would always speak. If you're chasing education reform, you are speaking. So all these things need you to be able to speak publicly about them, need you to be able to put down briefing notes, development of concept notes. You will need to do that. So you will need to speak. So the first thing you do, your first passion is public speaking. So let's just create that. I'm doing like it. Yeah. And your public speaking, you do youth development. Youth development and community projects can be tied together, right? Because you do public speaking, youth engagement, right? And community projects can be merged together because your community projects that you do can be youth oriented. So all the engagements you do is youth engagement. So you can do, when you go into a community, what you're focusing is how to engage the youth, how to empower the youth. And in that, you're doing what you love, community development. community engagement. You're also doing your public speaking, and you can also add education policy. Because in youth empowerment, you're going to do things that would also drive education empowerment. So do you see how that ties together?
Yes, thank you.
So what you can now do is to say, in my community engagement programs, I will streamline it to youth engagement. And in youth engagement, you can be doing education. So you're driving education, you're mentoring young people, you're empowering them. That's also a part of education. You're driving education policy and education reform for young people and for children. So you see how all that you're doing is actually is tied together. Because your main focus is youth development and community engagement. And in order to do youth endowment and community engagement in education, so youth, community and youth, community engagement. I'm having a crazy moment. But youth engagement and community engagement, you're merging it together and you're focusing your youth engagement and community engagement on the youth and on education, right? And then in all that, you're speaking publicly. So you see how everything is tied together. You're not doing a lot of things, but you're streamlining everything that you're doing. So that's why I said, if you sit down, take a minute, write down what you're doing. And Bolu, how do you want to do that? So now we know that you like community engagement, and in your community engagement, you're focused on the youth. And not only the youth, you're also focusing on educational reform. So now you sit down, how can you do it? Who are the people you can speak to? You can speak to the counselor, right? So you're engaging the counselor to say, what are we doing about education reform? You're engaging SUBEB, you're the Ministry of Education. So you start writing those things down, and that will help you in your delivery. But if you don't sit down and write it down, you can also look at organizations that work in education and how you can partner with them. Youth Hub Africa is one of the ones that are doing a lot of young educational reform. I think I've forgotten what they call it, but Youth Hub Africa, you can follow them and see what they are doing on educational reform. And you can just send them a message, Mr. Rotimi. You can follow Mr. Rotimi on LinkedIn. And Youth Hub Africa have a lot of youth programs that you can engage with, right? And then that's how you join into the space. I know you do a lot of things, Bolo, I see you. But just by the little conversation, Mr. Rotimi is always willing to help young people. If you write a project, if you write a concept note and you say, this is your concept note, this is your project, this is all you're doing, and this is what you want to do, you want to just say, you want to volunteer with them, you want to help them with the project they are doing about youth and education reform, he will gladly bring you into the fold, right? So I've taken a lot of our time today. So I hope that I've answered most of the questions. So thank you very much for everybody.
Wow, thank you so much. I just got clarity. Like, I'll follow the Youth of Africa this night. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless.
So what you can do is to go on LinkedIn. Go on. That's why I say you use it wisely. Use YouTube. You use social media to smartly to be able to get impact. Go and follow people who are working in your space, leaders in your space, because those leaders would have conversations, they will have speaking engagements, right? Madam Indidi was just added to one campaign. If you're following her, one campaign just released, and I think I'll share it in the group. One campaign released an application for people to be one campaigners or something like that. You can apply for that. There is, I think I'll share something with you on education. I don't know. I hope it has not closed. Is it 9Gs? I will send it to the group, where an organization is looking for people who work in education policy to apply. So even if the application is out, you can send them an email to say, oh, I'm so sorry. You can send them an email, send them, I just saw this now, and I would really love to be part of it. This is what I do, and this is why I would bring to the fold. I'm sorry I missed out on the application. Even if they don't take you into this cohort, the next time they're having a cohort, I'm sure the person that you had reached out to will reach out to you. So yeah, I hope that this session was really engaging. I really wanted to be practical so that you're able to do it by yourself, right? So that you get, I'm super happy, Bolu, that you're able to get clarity. But if anybody needs to reach out to me, this is why we're here, right? We're here for a month long to have a conversation with you, for you to engage, for you to learn. I hope that you're able to take away a lot of these things. We'll have more sessions where I'm trying to teach practical things, because even if we're having speakers come to speak to you, I want you to be able to learn the practicality of it. If you check our schedule, I'm going to take you people on policy briefing. So we want to build women's capacity. We want to also teach women how to write motions. So the day you want to engage your legislator, you know, they keep telling you, engage your legislator, engage your lawmakers. The day you want to meet your local government councillor, you've seen a motion that you want him to put forth, and you have written it and you have brought it to him. There's no way the man will not see value in you, or the woman will not see value in you, right? Always ensure that you add value to wherever you find yourself, whichever organization, whatever you're doing. It would never go unnoticed. People would notice you. It may not be instant as you want it, but people always remember that you work in that space and you do stuff in that space. So now that I know that Bolu does education reform, anytime I see something on education reform, Bolu is the first person that will come to my mind, and I would always share things with her. So yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you for engaging us. Thank you for staying on long. And I wish that you can learn more. So I would share a template for SWOT analysis, and as well, I'll share all these links and SWOT analysis. If you want us to have a session with you or work on your personal development plan, please reach out to me. I'm also glad to do that. I hope that you were able to learn from today's session. Thank you all for joining the session. I appreciate you all, and thank you for engaging. So we would not be having any sessions till next week. So next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to have amazing people. I would love to also get feedback on you. So we're going to share a feedback form if there's any challenge that you're facing. But one thing I did was to ensure that we record the sessions, because I know that presently, let me stop recording.